This is definitely not relevant to the case.
Yes!
Today's episode of The Completionist is going to completely spoil your experience for the game LA Noire. Meaning that if you have not experienced this game before, then we're going to talk about a lot of things that are considered spoilers. Thus, this is your spoiler warning. Enjoy!
1940s Los Angeles. The sun shines bright, everyone's a little bit more racist, and piles of actual salt dot the otherwise almost completely empty streets. With the war finally over, all our best and brightest boys can come home to live with their families, in nice affordable housing, and when you have cops like LA's finest on the case, life is good in Los Angeles. It's paradise on earth.
That's what they tell you anyway, because now that everyone's living the good life, it's all gotta come crashing down. Good guys become bad guys, and bad guys don't even really know what's happening half the time anymore. Usually like a mob boss or something dictating, and everyone's confused. Remember, dear audience, crime is out there, and the only thing that can stop it are these two perfect dicks.
You mean we can't say the catchphrase in the show?
Comes with the territory, my dude.
I'm just saying it means detective.
And I'm just saying that it means another thing that's disgusting, and you know what that thing is.
What I'm saying is they're not going to know it.
That doesn't make any sense. You don't make any sense. Yo, Big Al, what do we got?
What up, guys? Homicide. The victim was a one LA Noire 5-year-old detective game on PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. No word yet on cause of death, but there's somebody who might know.
Man, LA Noire? We just played through that like a couple weeks ago, man. Whatever. Thanks, Al. You're the best.
Whatever, guys. You guys owe me a pizza. And when are you guys gonna do Saw 2?
We're good and ready, Al, okay?
We'll do when we get to it, all right?
And he owes you a pizza. I don't owe you a pizza.
He owes me a pizza, so he owes you a pizza.
He owes everyone a pizza.
It's
he
a
makes
proxy.
promises pizza
It's a proxy.
to everyone.
Get out of here.
I'll take it.
Mr. Bayonne, nice to meet you. I'm Detective Khalil. This is my partner, Detective Fasciani.
Ah, nice to meet you, detectives.
Do you mind if we ask you some questions today?
Sure. Ask away.
Could you tell us what you were doing this morning in the office?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, sorta. I just came out of the bathroom, so I must have just missed it. But then again, I walked in kind of late, so I didn't really see that much.
You're kidding me, right? This is... Is he even trying to keep the truth from us?
I don't. Don't lie to me, Brett! You know as well as I do that Gerard's office is on the way to the bathroom. Now tell me the truth!
Okay, fine. I was in the office, but I still didn't see anything.
Okay, so what were you doing in my office to the point where you didn't even notice that LA Noire was being murdered?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. I was all the way this morning ago. It's really hazy. I'm sorry. I don't remember.
He's holding a sign. Holding a sign with the answer. He's holding the sign with the answer. Why are we even
going with the sign?
Go with the sign? Is that what you think? We couldn't figure out from before with the two guys like us?
He's holding a sign.
You're the one saying we're perfect, yet we can't even stare at the sign?
He's got a sign.
He's got a sign.
Let's go with the sign.
All right, we're going to go with the sign.
Oh, yeah, right!
Oh, Brett, you really done it. You got me.
Oh,
I am going to take your house.
Oh, you shouldn't have woken Brett. He's going to come take your house.
You woke me.
That house is
I'm
going to
take
his,
your house, your grandparents' house, your dog's at the house, because I'm taking...
All right, fine! All right! You want the truth? I'll tell you the truth! I sleep under the desk in the office. That's where I sleep, okay? I know it sounds weird to you, but it's what I do. It's the comfiest place to sleep in the office, but I don't live there. I do not live there. I have a very real home. Please don't take my real home that is somewhere else in the city. What? Forget about it. Just shut up. Listen, if you really want to get to the bottom of this thing, you're gonna have to start in the story. That's the only way.
Story.
Today's story starts just like they all do. Cole Phelps is a beat cop fresh from the US Marine Corps in the Pacific Campaign of World War II. Also, he used to butt heads with this gold-hearted jerk called Jack Kelso in officer school, but that's not really going to be important till the end of this story. It seems like Cole has some kind of dark secret as well. Anyway, one day, a little bit of his trademark intuition gives him a lucky break at a clue. And the next thing you know, this guy solved the murder and suddenly he's the rock star new detective on the beat. Kind of like us in real life, right now. Or at least me. I never really know exactly what Alex is thinking.
I wasn't sure if Gerard could hear me or not, so I just decided to start narrating too and see if anybody.
I can totally hear you, dude.
Oh, cool.
Right here. I'm
Nice.
right next to you.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yes.
good.
Anyway, Phelps starts off at the traffic desk and everybody already hates him because they know he's destined for better things. And by the time he's promoted to homicide, he already knows something shady's going down behind the scenes. I decided to do a little digging, and I found out it might be connected to some morphine stolen off a ship docked in San Pedro Harbor. Also, I high-fived my mom while I was there, because that's my real actual hometown. What's up?
Turns out that this ship was the SS Coolidge, which was the very same ship that brought Phelps and his men home from the war, and the Marines figured there wasn't really any harm in fencing the morphine to be sold to hospitals under the table. If it meant good upstanding men like themselves would provide it with good housing to settle down and start families.
Or at least that's what one of the Marines was told when he gave all the drugs to this shady-ass Dr. Phil-looking Harlan Fontaine character who supposedly invested it all into this syndicate called the Suburban Redevelopment Fund, run by this creepy real estate tycoon called Leland Monroe. Man, what a perfect bad guy name. That doesn't even sound real.
It's not, man. It's a video game.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, once this local mob guy Mickey Cohen finds out that instead of giving it to the hospitals, people are now pushing this dope in his most profitable neighborhoods, all a lot of these Marines end up ever getting is getting a bullet in the heart, which is why Phelps, who at this point is now working the vice desk, ends up in a little bit of high water.
Hot water.
I believe the term is high water, Alex.
High water is like
High.
half of another city.
As in, it is drowning
Hell or high
you.
water.
As in, it is drowning you.
Hell or high water. You end up in hot water like a lobster.
You debate your terms, I'll debate mine. You do your cop thing, I'll do my cop thing.
Word is, Phelps got a little too close to the whole thing when people started dying from morphine overdoses, and he started connecting it to Fontaine and the Trust. He probably would have brought the whole thing down too, but then his dirtbag partner, a creep with no style called Roy Earl, sold him out for a piece of the suburban redevelopment pie.
Such a shame. I guess every man has their own weaknesses, but it turns out that Cole Phelps's was having extramarital affairs with German nightclub singers. Phelps' wife wasn't exactly over the moon about it, and the general public wasn't either. You can't have affairs with German nightclub singers, Phelps.
Phelps, you can't just be going around having affairs with German nightclub singers.
I mean, actually, Phelps, you shouldn't be having affairs with anyone.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually true.
No affairs 2016.
Super Beard Bros. No affairs.
Don't do it.
Don't have affairs.
Don't do it.
Stop it.
Like I said earlier, this is the kind of detective story you've probably seen 1,000 times. The last honest cop in the city connects the dots on a plot that goes so far above his head, he doesn't know who to trust. That wasn't good enough for me. That wasn't a big enough motive for murder. Especially not in a game where the world created around the plot to flesh it out was so engrossing.
In life, L.A. Noire was always more about the characters behind the story, and every last one is well written and unique and genuinely entertaining. The only bad thing I really even have to say about it is that far too much weight was given to the backstory between Phelps, Kelso, and the Marines, and barely any of the stuff that happens during the cases has anything to do with the overarching plot. But honestly, that's it.
Finding out each new partner was more awful, racist, masochistic, and alcoholic than the last was actually a delightful part of the game.
Nothing original under the sun. Why should murder be any different?
F*** you, Finbar. Piece of shit. And honestly, playing a game that relished in these very believable and practically charming characters that perfectly embody all of the most unglamorous or politically incorrect aspects of the 1940s life is really darkly fun.
Yo, but also shoutouts to our arson partner Herschel Biggs, the coroner Mal Carruthers, and my literal in-game girlfriend, the police operator, for being the exception to the rule. We wouldn't have been able to solve all those cases so perfectly if they weren't always so nice and kind and there for us along the way.
And actually, shoutouts also to the cases themselves, which are mostly based on either real cases or famous mystery novels, and are all totally pulpy detective rag fun. Each desk has a different flavor, and even the DLC cases are all totally interesting and worth it. Each one pushes the boundaries of the case format in a different, neat way, especially the console's car. Now, I'm not going to repeat it here, but I see you, console's car. You can't hide from the completionist. You know what you did.
But yeah, that's what we knew so far, and so far the story checked out. If L.A. Noire was killed by its storytelling alone, we're a pair of monkey's uncles. You know, like two uncle monkeys who everyone thinks are married, but really they're just good friends. I'm not great at these extended detective metaphors. Get me out of here.
And they're in high water.
Yeah, there's no water.
Very
anywhere.
high water.
None of these monkeys are in any water. Two dry married monkey men.
The simple fact was, we were barking up the wrong tree, and L.A. Noire's real killer was still out there somewhere. So it was back to the drawing board for us. We still didn't have our Chinese angle, but after rustling up some Bindle punks and giving them their third degree, our next big break in the case led us to Sydney, Australia, home turf of L.A. Noire's now defunct developer team, Team Bondi.
Wow, that was actually pretty solid 40 slang, dude.
Yeah, dude. Google.
Took one look at Team Bondi and right away we thought we had something. L.A. Noire had just come out in May of 2011, but by August, rumors were already swirling that Bondi's IP and assets were being sold off. By October of that same year, they were completely shut down and liquidated. Apparently, once the game came out, allegations started surfacing that maybe Bondi wasn't treating its employees properly during the game's development. And after a few less than flattering articles started coming out to that effect, another rumor got started that tensions between Team Bondi and their publisher Rockstar, who at this point had already spent at least another couple $1 million of their own on the game, were pretty high.
We were convinced that Team Bondi was involved in L.A. Noire's death, somehow. But then again, how could such an expensive game be a total failure? So, we decided to let their work speak for itself, and the very first thing on our list was motion scan technology. This breakthrough tech enabled developers to map real human acting performances onto the faces of their characters' in-game models using footage from 32 specially calibrated cameras. And the result is some of the most lifelike animations ever seen in video game history.
Yeah, and Bondi's attention to detail doesn't stop there. 1947 Los Angeles was painstakingly recreated in the game using aerial photographs taken by this crazy daredevil named Robert Spence, who literally leaned out of a biplane with a 46-pound camera and basically created satellite map quality photos of LA in the 1920s. It was an unprecedented tool that not only let them model a city accurately, but also create time period accurate traffic patterns and public transit routes.
Still though, the graphics themselves were a little simple, and LA felt a little bit empty or inactive, like all the action in the entire city followed us around all day. But it didn't really matter in the end, because motion scan elevates this fairly basic looking world into something that feels as exciting to watch as Mad Men or LA Confidential. It's like the NPCs were actually real people, and I've never really seen that in a game before.
Yeah, and speaking of Mad Men, the cast of this game is incredible. I'm sure you realize that Aaron Staton, the actor that plays Cole Phelps, is far from the only person in the game we recognize from that show. The acting in this game is still better than even the best looking games out there today, because you still get all that little non-verbal movement stuff you see that really lets you know you're talking to a human being. Like you're really stepping back in time and talking to someone from the 1940s.
And speaking of stepping into the 40s, the soundtrack of L.A. Noire was nothing to sneeze at. First of all, there's over 30 iconic licensed songs that are all top-tier classic recordings, from greats like Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. But then there's also an incredible BAFTA-winning original score by Andrew and Simon Hale, as well as Red Dead Redemption composer Woody Jackson that was recorded at Abbey Road Studios in London. It was inspired by the orchestral scores of countless 1940s films. Combine all of this with 3 vocal tracks composed by the real Tuesday Weld, with vocals by Claudia Brukin, and you've got one of the best video game soundtracks of all time.
Literally, when I'm deep in my detective zone, all I ever do is toss this soundtrack onto my car stereo and drive around in the real LA being mysterious and searching for clues and narrating. You should try it sometime, man. It's great. I'm totally not weird for doing it.
Alright. Really, the only thing that suffered in LA Noire was that it was always sort of glitchy, and a lot of the time during cases or cutscenes, our immersion was broken by a crazy guy spawning into the environment wrong. Not that it wasn't hilarious, and we definitely had a few moments where this created some funny content on the Beer Bros channel, but you always expected problems like this in big sandbox games, and unfortunately, LA Noire was no exception. Check out this cop right here. He's literally trying to hang himself. He's trying his best.
Don't do it.
Don't go to the fair. Don't do it.
Don't go to the fair. But again, we had to ask ourselves, was that really enough to kill somebody over? Looking back on our experience with the game, it was kind of hard to believe that a couple glitches would kill this largely enjoyable and immersive game.
I just want to add that there's a lot of glitches. There's a lot of glitches.
It's a lot of glitches.
There's a lot. Like a lot. Here's an idea. Get out of a whole triangle. You weren't supposed to go in there.
Mansion ate my car! Yeah, it's a lot. But I mean, I know I heard something about that happening to some French assassin game a couple years ago, but LA Noire never really becomes synonymous with glitches in the zeitgeist that way, so we decided to look elsewhere. Maybe the game itself wasn't a bad place to look. It's time to get up close and personal, and see if we couldn't get our mitts on something a little more juicy.
The Completionist will be right back after this short commercial break. Look, just head over to dollarshaveclub.com/TOVG now and get your first month free. Just pay shipping, and after that, it's only a few dollars a month. The proof? Take a laptop of your choice and look up some popular drugstores. Brand X, Brand Y, Brand Z. Not one delivers amazing razors right to your door, and Dollar Shave Club does it for a third of the price. Try it again in slow motion. No long-term commitment, no hidden fees, and Dollar Shave Club has some of the best razors around. With my Dollar Shave Club, I get a first-class shave with the executive blade. And when I use it with their Dr. Carver shave butter, the blade just gently glides across my face for a shave so smooth, you don't have to be a completionist to get it right every single time. Yes, even on a modest budget, with Dollar Shave Club, you can look, smell, and shave like $1,000,000 without having to pay for it. Just head to dollarshaveclub.com/TOVG now and get your first month free. Just pay shipping, and after that, it's just a few dollars a month. And now we return to The Completionist.
Looking back on the entire experience of playing LA Noire, all the most enjoyable moments seem to come from anything in the game having to do with being an actual detective, leading investigations, and solving cases. That's why we're still cops, even now. And again, the motion scan comes through here with an amazing acting-based truth-lie-doubt mechanic during questioning that proves the tech has more applications than just looking really cool. You really had to look at the faces these people were making and think about the context of the line you just heard to do well. And that simply wouldn't be possible if every single character didn't have such a realistic face.
Also, exploring all the detailed environments, and especially the crime scenes, was always super fun and really helped with immersion, even if Phelps kept ruining the mystery by blatantly calling out any clues that weren't relevant to the case. I wish I had that power. I'd have already brought the killer down to the station by now. But actually, now that I mention it, walking through the station in LA Noire is actually a great way to show off how awesome it actually felt to be a cop. It feels alive around you, like you just stepped into a place that didn't actually care whether you were in it or not, and it was so interesting to just walk around and listening to what people were just saying to each other. I wish I could just slowly walk around and absorb every last piece of dialogue in the game.
It's really only when the game speeds up that it kind of falls apart. While the foot chases and gunfights were always really cool and exciting for story reasons, the controls and physics always felt really clunky and a little overcomplicated. And when either of these activities ever escalated into a fist fight, it was like Touch Fuzzy try and play Arkham Asylum and get dizzy. So awkward and imprecise. Not to mention that the UI, while stylish looking, is very minimal and never really gives you enough info to feel like you have a total handle on what's happening.
Yeah, also the driving was ass.
The driving was fine.
The driving was ass.
It was fine.
Ass. The cars are too slippery, there's impassable piles of salt all over the city, and the bad guys are always such good drivers that beating a chase has more to do with the RNG of the traffic around you than anything you're physically doing. And I'm still not even totally sure that most of them weren't sort of scripted.
I disagree. Maybe it was a little ass, but I honestly don't think it was that bad.
You know what? I'll take it.
No, I want it back.
No, I'll take it.
Give it back.
No, it's mine.
No.
I'm taking it.
No,
You said it, I'm
no,
keeping
no,
it.
no,
It's in my
no,
pocket.
no.
It's mine.
For whatever driving reasons that you've got with this game, you have to admit that it wasn't enough to destroy this game, right, partner?
Oh, definitely. This was a game about what it was like to be a hard-boiled 1940s detective. For the most part, that's a slow, moody, mentally engaging job. A lot of cops back then were probably never even in any car chases, not to mention the 15 or so in a single year that this game has, and I hope I don't have to explain to you how much artistic license this game takes with the nature of most shootouts. Point is, both features are perfectly serviceable for the small percentage of total playtime that they take up, and any of their shortcomings are far outpaced by how fun the being a cop part of the game is. What's the matter, partner? Too much coffee again?
No. This just doesn't make sense. I can't make sense of this. LA Noire is a solid game. It had a bright future and no real enemies. It flat out doesn't make sense that somebody would just get up and bop a game like that. There has to be something we're missing here.
Yeah, okay. Well, we could always take another look at Phelps, right? I mean, he's the main character of the game, you know? He's like our most interesting person of interest, right?
All right, partner. Let's do it. We'll take another look at the cop. This clean sneak ends tonight. Because I've got a movie to catch at the matinee tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we've done. Back at home.
Just,
Decide if we want to still be cops.
We've got things to do. We're busy.
Yeah. So after his very public scandal, Phelps was demoted to the arson desk, and after investigating a few houses in the neighborhoods bought up by the Suburban Redevelopment Fund and seeing the poor build quality of one of the already finished houses, Phelps begins to suspect something fishy is going on with Leland Monroe, and realizes the only person who can help is that guy Jack Kelso from earlier, who always used to butt heads with Cole and the Marines, but is now a claims investigator for the California Fire and Life Insurance Company.
Remember that German nightclub singer Phelps was having an affair with, but not going to the fair with? Her name is Elsa Littman, and she also just happens to be the sole beneficiary on the California Fire and Life insurance policy of a man named Lou Buckwalter, who died in a roof collapse while working on one of the substandard GI houses in a Leland Monroe development called Elysian Fields. Though the payout was huge, Phelps convinces Elsa to refuse it so that Kelso will have to look into it to help him investigate more discreetly, against his will.
Turns out the whole thing was a plot to defraud the US government. The Suburban Redevelopment Fund found out about a proposed parkway to cut through the Wilshire district and quickly bought up a bunch of the land it would go through. Also, they muscled out anyone who wasn't willing to sell, hence all those fires Phelps investigated. Since the government would pay whatever it had to gain eminent domain over the land, all they needed to do was artificially jack up the land's value. Luckily, they already had the perfect person to do that right in their little syndicate, a man named Curtis Benson, the vice president of California Fire and Life. Uh-oh.
Needless to say, Kelso gets ambushed during one of his investigations and gets pretty roughed up in the process. But then he meets good guy DA Leonard Peterson, who hires him as a DA investigator, and now Phelps and Kelso are both officially on the case. Kelso quickly discovers the whole plan and even rustles up a bunch of his old squad mates to help him take down Monroe. But actually, that was just the beginning of his problems.
See, unfortunately, the guy starting all those fires was a flamethrower dude from Phelps and Kelso's unit named Ira Hogaboom. And when he accidentally burns down a house with the family still inside, he goes crazy. Remember when we said Cole had a dark secret? Actually, he had two. Firstly, he was the sole survivor of his battalion to survive the Battle of Sugarloaf Hill, and carried that guilt with him for the rest of his life. The second was Hogaboom.
See, back in Japan, Phelps was Hogaboom's commanding officer, and under his command, because of Phelps' meticulous attention to detail, he accidentally burned out a cave filled with innocent women and children. Phelps didn't know what to do, so he ordered all the survivors shot to end their suffering, and Hogaboom never recovered from the event and developed PTSD and schizophrenia in the years since.
On the one hand, this kind of worked out for them because Hogaboom finally put an end to Dr. Fontaine. But on the other, he also kidnapped Elsa and took her into the sewer tunnels below the city. After a huge gunfight, Phelps and Kelso finally catch up to Ira, and while Phelps took Elsa to safety, Kelso put Hogaboom out of his misery with a bullet.
Unfortunately, they didn't have much time to celebrate yet because they were interrupted by a giant wall of water heading straight towards them. Cole's partner Big showed up at the exit to help Kelso and Elsa out, but oh my god.
What?
Cole decided he didn't have time to get out, so instead, he just utters a quick last goodbye before being swept away by the water.
No!
Later, at his funeral, we find out while the Suburban Redevelopment Fund was probably finished, nothing really happened to eliminate the corruption. Somehow, Phelps' eulogy even ended up being read by his old Two-Face partner Roy Earl. After the credits, they reveal that Kelso knew about the morphine theft from the beginning of the game, but he didn't participate because he knew you can never outrun your past mistakes, which apparently is the only goddamn lesson LA Noire really wants to teach you. Of course, how could I have been so stupid?
Oh my god, you're right! LA Noire is exactly like Phelps! Too much time was spent focusing on the past instead of really caring about any of the stuff that was actually happening during the game. Even after the successful wrap-up of the little arc between Phelps and Kelso, there were so many loose ends created by all these cases that had nothing to do with the larger storyline, it probably did feel like a wall of water hurtling towards them. The game did exactly the same thing that Phelps did and just closed its eyes and let the water come. LA Noire's death wasn't a murder at all. It was a suicide.
That explains so much about this shitty ending. But, like Alex said, I have to agree. The game had all these amazing cases with all these amazing characters and all this beautiful production design, but none of that mattered in the end because it chose to focus on a side plot that only ever found its way into the main events of the game a handful of times. For being billed as the second main character of the game, Kelso is only playable practically 2.5 times, and only ever shows up in 10% of the total story. No wonder LA Noire gave up on itself. It really had nowhere to go. Such a senseless tragedy.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, this is exactly the type of thing that always happens at the end of these detective stories. A good person dies, someone bad gets away with it, and life goes on, la-di-da, just another day in the life of a cop. But a detective movie's like 2 hours long, and this was like 20. There was plenty of time. It didn't have to be just another day on the job.
So sad, but so true. And speaking of just another day on the job, this is the kind of problem I'm no stranger to on The Completionist. Video games that try for a serious plot rarely end in a satisfactory way because a game is so much longer than a movie, and there's so many more threads to tie up together, and it always ends up feeling sloppy and rushed. But as the Completionist, I've always had to find a way past that, because beating the game is only half the battle, and once you hit the end, you gotta be ready to turn around and jump right back in. I need a cigarette.
Wait, you don't smoke?
Did I say I was gonna smoke it?
No?
I just bite it, man, like Will Smith. It's for the look, dude. I don't light it.
That's pretty weird.
LA Noire has several different outfits you can unlock for Phelps to wear, and most of them just come from leveling, though 1 or 2 are obtained through other means.
Ooh, scandalous.
Actually, not really. I don't know why I said it like that. Sorry. The Sharpshooter and the Broderick outfits were at first only available as pre-order bonuses, but the Broderick was later put on sale as DLC, and the Sharpshooter becomes available once you finish your patrol missions if you own the complete edition of the game.
Yeah, and actually, the Button Man is another suit that was also available through pre-order, but it actually comes as the reward of a bonus side quest, the Badge Pursuit Challenge, which asks you to collect 20 police badges from all around the city. We were totally able to do this though, because it too was eventually released as DLC and was also included as part of the Complete Edition.
And finally, there's the Chicago Lightning, but all you had to do was just sign up for the Rockstar Social Club.
Oh, look at me. I'm in a social club.
There's also a bunch of cars to unlock for viewing in the Vehicle Showroom mode on the Extras menu in the main menu. Most of them are just unlocked by finding the vehicle on the street and using your status as a cop to commandeer them. but a few are unlocked in other slightly more interesting ways. And guess what? Because we were perfect dicks, we got all the cars. What's up?
Hell yeah.
What's up, haters?
What's up? How are you doing, hater?
What's up, hatters?
What's up, Mad Hatters?
Nice hats.
Good tea parties.
Other than that, for collecting all 13 newspapers, for finding all 50 hidden film reels, for finishing every case with a 5-star rating, for leveling up to max rank, for driving 194.7 in-game miles, for collecting and driving over 100 cars in the game, and finishing all 40 street crime mini missions, plus a bunch of other things. They're just trophies. That's all they're worth. They're just goddamn trophies, and it's just pretty disappointing, especially for how much time it took for me to do in the game that already offers so many other things, like fun outfits and more secret cars. If there had been one more little cosmetic unlockable, like for each of these little tasks, it might have felt close to worth it, but honestly, I don't really feel like it was. It felt like some stringer was playing me for a sucker or something. It's great to be the completionist, but sometimes it can be a struggle. It should be known that LA Noire has a ton of game-breaking bugs and glitches that, while for the casual player wouldn't be that bad, Completionists will be very stuck between a rock and a hard place, mixing a lot of collectibles, and you're in for a real world of hurt. In our playthrough of LA Noire, there were
55 hours of total playtime.
28 cases solved with 5-star ratings across the board, including all DLC and pre-order cases.
40 street crimes stopped.
20 police badges scattered throughout the city collected.
30 Los Angeles landmarks visited.
50 golden film reels obtained, which is actually pretty tight because these are real noir film titles, like Double Indemnity.
60 achievements.
And the granddaddy of them all, get into and operate all 95 drivable cars in the game. Whew, oh boy. This feat is the worst, as there's no real way to know where all the cars are located, what they look like, and then some. Overall, finishing up this game to completion wasn't that bad for us cops. But I will add that you gotta be the most patient of patient folk out there to complete this bad boy.
On the one hand, that's a lot of time to spend playing a game with rough controls and almost no rewards. On the other, LA Noire is like your basic cup of every cop's favorite beverage, donut shop coffee. When it's bad, it feels fake and disgusting, but when it's good, it makes you nostalgic and proud to live in a country where something like this is so close to the center of our culture.
Damn, dude. Tight.
Good, I really tried to make that sound really, solid.
But you're absolutely right. This is why the street crimes were such an awesome part of the process. Once I was done with the actual game, I could still break up the totally boring and mindless collectathons with little nuggets of what the game did best. And as we sit here at LA Noire's funeral, I think there's a lesson to be learned from that. Don't think of this game, or anyone, I guess, as they were when they died. Instead, remember them at their best and cherish those moments. And smile every once in a while you're driving through LA at night and you're thinking about them.
Man, you got me with that one, partner.
Yeah, man. With my brains and your looks, we could go places.
Nice, dude. Is that from Rush Hour?
Something like that, yeah.
From an emotional perspective, LA Noire was a masterpiece. Some of the best written and most memorable performances in any video game set against the backdrop of one of the most mythical times in America's history. Sign me up.
However, from a technical perspective, it doesn't really feel like the games were exactly where they needed to be for this to land perfectly, and the sacrifices made to the controls, mechanics, and the interface kept it from being a genuine sensation.
Still, if that were the case, I may have actually given it a completed rating after all. But the unfulfilling ending leaves even an awesome detective story narrative, which should be the absolute solid backbone of this entire thing, feeling very sloppy and incredibly unfocused. So unfortunately, we have to leave it at that. With that in mind, guys, we give LA Noire our completionist rating of Finish It.
Finish it!
That's all the time we have for today, guys, so please, as always, let us know what you thought about today's episode somewhere on the internet. If you want to check out our entire playthrough of LA Noire, you can right now over on youtube.com/SuperBeerBros. 50 long, great episodes.
So fun. I don't know what it was so like. It was a fun one.
We did it blind, no guide, 5 stars in every case.
Perfect.
It was awesome. Perfect. In fact, so perfect that you can go to theyeti.com/thatonevideogamer and pick up your #PerfectDicks mug. You can get a badge pin, a Gotcha Bullet pin, or a We Are Cops shirt. That's all over on theyeti.com/thatonevideogamer. But Alex, now, right here, let's go ahead and say goodbye to LA Noire one last time. Wherever you are, man, thank you for the good times. We'll never forget you, and we hope you're in a better place.
You know what, partner? Pretty sure he is.
You okay? Falling asleep? No, but wake up.
Have some
Yeah, no.
coffee in my giant coffee cup.
Yep.
Really big. Lots of coffee in here.